Hey Matt, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Nicholas. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Whoa, what a day, isn't it?
What's
What's
that?
going on? What what's going on?
What is this?
Are you
Oh my,
there?
did you
Matt,
see? I
you,
don't see you or I hear you.
you can
Oh
you
my
can you hear me?
goodness.
Why don't we start the show?
All right, let's.
All right, everybody. This is Nico, the host of the Vcommerce shows, and I am super excited to have today with me my great host Matt from E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC. And today we have a very special guest. Halia decided to join with us. She is the one that has been writing the newsletter lately. She's also with Extremely, the company that gets you live shopping on video commerce and live stream shopping. Matt, why don't you kick off the show and tell us what the show is about today?
Excited. We've got a really packed show today. Welcome. This is the Vcommerce podcast with Nicholas and Matt Hodlofski. We talk about all things video commerce. DRTV started with video commerce way back 50 years ago, kind of transitioned into QVC and HSN and home shopping, which is still thriving and very successful. And then it morphed into all video commerce through your phone and tablets and computers. This show talks all about video commerce and e-commerce, touch on a few different topics, hot topics of the day. Hopefully you find them interesting, entertaining, and learn a little bit more about our world in the video commerce space. So Nicholas, our shows didn't really get off to a smooth start. What's going on? What's the hot news today?
I think, Riley, I can start with the hot news, but let's start by saying Happy International Blue Screen Day for sure.
Yes, for all our video viewers, our show started off on a blank blue screen because of the news that broke overnight.
Yeah, why don't you kick off, Riley?
Yeah, hey Matt, hey Nicholas. So it looks like that issue impacted both of you as well. And pretty much what happened was last night, Microsoft had a very significant outage. It impacted companies globally. We're talking aircrafts being grounded, banks, media outlets, companies like security companies like ADT, Amazon, everything was impacted. It was huge. And it looks like what happened was a cybersecurity platform called CrowdStrike sent out an update that caused these issues. And everyone saw that blue screen. Companies around the world saw that blue screen. They couldn't work, and it really impacted productivity. But I think it also showed us how dependable we are on technology, on cloud services for our operations. So, what did that impact either of you?
So it did not. It certainly did not impact me. I think everything went fine with me. I just woke up this morning and looked the craziness that was going on
Right.
on Twitter and all those social media platform, and I just felt it was like kind of interesting. But I do agree with you. Like, I think in the insight, I think everyone's going to wake up, and I think that's why I was like, people are talking about this Happy International Blue Screen Day.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what's interesting is, like, for instance, in Paris and some other country that have been very vocal about not being dependent on one entity, being Microsoft, they don't have this problem. So I think some of those company will be looked at, and some of those spot airport and spot companies that are not operating the same way will be looked at and say, how do they build their redundancy system, because this is a global system. And so I think it's quite interesting. I don't know, Matt. Were you able to get on QVC this morning, like usual, or?
Yeah, I mean that kind of thing didn't affect me personally, but everything I read, the more I read about it this morning, the more impactful I realized it was. Like, airlines were grounded, 911 services were halted, uh, businesses were locked down, media outlets were locked down, banks, you couldn't transfer money, you couldn't take payments. Like, this was a serious thing, and it's evolving. It's still happening here, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time on Friday the 19th, and it's still going on today. So this is a moving, active story. But to your point, other parts of the world, certainly Europe, don't rely on Microsoft. In the US, we completely rely on this kind of format. And unfortunately, the first thing that came into my mind was cyber hacking and cyber terrorism and what it could possibly do to the world. You know, you don't need an instrument or a gun these days to make an impactful attack. That's the most scary part of the whole thing.
Absolutely. And I think it's the second story of the day is probably a miss for them, because something that stopped just yesterday was Prime Day. So if that hacking or that problem would have happened a day before, I think Amazon would have been super excited, because they already had like an awesome report of sales. And I think if everyone was grounded at the airport, they would probably have done some shopping there. But Amazon Prime Day report showing 14 billion in revenue, a 10.5% growth versus last year, which is pretty significant, where we're talking about 14 billion in 2 days, right? And that's a 10.5. So that's an additional 1.4 billion of money that was spent for that 2-day holiday. It's a pretty incredible number. What's interesting also is that before we were talking about that, Matt, right? It's Target and Walmart were not wanting to be left behind, and they had their own Prime event, or Prime event, as if I should say, like a holiday event, holiday sales event before Prime, just to be sure that they could capture some of those dollar from the market. And what's interesting is that I was reading this article that made a comparison. Basically, shopping online was up 80% from July 1 to July 7 prior to June of the same month. So 80% more transaction happening online. The other thing that was I felt was very compelling, interesting story, and it's what did work during these Prime days. And basically, it was very steep discount. I don't know if you went and shop yourself, Matt, but you could see some really amazing at 35, 40% discount for certain of them. In general, electronic was down 22% discounting. And what's interesting is that last year, the average was only 14%. So really much deeper discount. Same thing for apparel, which was around 20%, where last year it was only 12%. And furniture was 17%, where typically last year it was around 9%. So it really showed the impact, and what's that people are trying to grab is toward discount. I mean, TikTok has been really huge on sales, and it's very highly discounted item as well. So I'm not surprised by that, but overall, that's kind of an interesting story there.
My opinion, I was at QVC most of the day on Wednesday Tuesday. It was Tuesday I was there, and Wednesday, but Tuesday was the first day of Prime Day. And I was asking a lot of people about, like, what did you buy today? I was very, very curious. And the conversations that I were having was, well, the products I had in my cart, some were put on sale and some weren't. So, like, I look at Amazon as kind of a malaise of just white noise. It's so, to me, it's not very consumer friendly or user friendly. I think it's a little overwhelming. They promote certain things, but it's a difficult navigation if you're trying to explore. But these people that I was speaking with made purchases from products that were put on sale that they already had in their cart. They had planned to buy already. And then, I'm saving $30 on this that I wanted to buy anyway. So then they jumped on that kind of thing. I didn't hear about a lot of exploration on the day, but to your point, back to school products, electronics, furniture, big box items, like, it was a great day for all that kind of thing. Electronics has ebbed and flowed over the last year. I think it's on an upward tail right now. I know margins are tight in the electronics world. Well, but I think that's a good sign.
Well, speaking of margin, something that I was very surprised to read on this article that I was referring, and it was an article from the New York Post. One thing that really surprised me, we talked about the fact that during pandemic, online sales went up way to the roof, and since then, there has been people moving back to physical store, and so online retail have slowed down a little bit, but then retail picked up. What's interesting, and that's something I was not aware, is the price online has also fallen for a trailing 22 months. And as a matter of fact, the average price for item that were listed in June was 4.2% lower than last year at the same date online. So what's interesting is that we're talking about inflation, and we're talking about inflation the other day again with grocery shopping and everything, but yet that inflation doesn't seem to translate very well online. Where pricing is declining. So I think as the market online is knowing that they're losing market share, so they want to grab those market share back. They are lowering the price. So I just found that dynamic so fascinating. We know that the costs are rising. We know that everything is rising, but then the price are lower to attract more consumer and to keep that and maintain that momentum online. And that's another reason why margins are crushed.
Rahila, are you a shopper? Did you buy anything off Amazon or anything online this week?
I did not. I looked at the deals, and there were some that I thought that I didn't see that much of a discount that I wanted. It was there, it definitely was there. It just wasn't that impactful.
So you actually explored a little bit, and you weren't thrilled with any of the deals.
That's right.
Yeah. I think the idea of Prime Day just accelerates all e-com, so it's a good thing across the board. Obviously, Amazon is the leader and all that kind of thing, but I'm one of those people that like to explore and learn and kind of research a little bit. And Amazon, they're such a behemoth. You can't dismiss them at all. It's just the conversations I had were about product that people had already thought through and priced out, and they just didn't pull the trigger. So that day they hit the sale button or whatever. They purchased the product on Amazon Day or one of the 2 days. Related but not related, I saw a story. Meta, Facebook, is considering investing into Luxottica, which owns Rayban sunglasses. And this is not a new story because they've considered this before, and they're exploring video streaming through sunglasses. And Rayban or Luxottica is one of the world leaders in designer sunglasses. When they mentioned live streaming, and they had said this before, but it was kind of an archaic visual, and there weren't good-looking glasses before, and I didn't think they were very popular. And it was version 1 and version 2 that had a lot of kinks in it. Now they want to invest 3 to 5% stake in Luxottica, so they could potentially build in $5 billion into Luxottica to get this live streaming app or whatever tech into these designer sunglasses, so consumers can live stream instantaneously, obviously, on Instagram or Facebook. From an video commerce dynamic, it opens up a world of possibilities of live selling and instantaneous video. I find it very exciting. If the sunglasses are going to be good looking, and they're then they will be because they're made by Ray-Ban and the tech is effective, I think this is going to be an amazing.
I'm curious to hear from you, Matt. Have you in your career tried to replace the eyes of like the person by having a camera right on the glasses, and what kind of the different experience it provide as in a production standpoint?
Yeah, so QVC and HSN, they're very smooth. Back when I was a producer there, they used a lot of handheld, and handheld cameras are a little jarring. Depending on the operator, it could be a little jarring as far as bouncing up and down and things like that. Now they use a camera called a jib. And a jib camera is a long arm camera where they kind of dive down almost like Star Wars, and they can kind of zoom in virtually not moving, yet moving through the product. It's very smooth and very easy for the viewer to digest. Using sunglasses or video through eyeglasses, to me, would be worse than what the handheld was. I think your eyes would be constantly moving, and you're not smooth in your normal mannerisms. From a live streaming selling point of view, I'm not sure how much it's going to make an impact. I think it would be a little jarring.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. I haven't seen any of those live stream where the person was wearing the meta glass. I have seen the one that Zuckerberg is doing a demo where he's walking around and he's showcasing the live streaming as well as showcasing the AI built-in that is on, which I found was quite fascinating. But I haven't thought about this notion of like the movement. I would assume that if that become annoying, they will probably leverage AI to stabilize that image. I mean, I can't imagine that making an investment. I mean, Zuckerberg was, I was reading an article where Zuckerberg said that he believes it's $1 trillion opportunity, the metaverse. And that's the reason why he's going after that. And it's not an opportunity for this year, neither for 5 years from now, but he believes that in, 10, 15 years, this is something that they're going to realize. And that's why he's continuing investing. I think he's invested over 14 billion already in the metaverse altogether. So he's really bullish about this space. So for sure.
From a film point of view or a television point of view, that POV, point of viewer, that's impactful and that's like very dramatic. Like what you're going through as the person, like walking through a haunted house or that kind of dynamic. So the viewer gets to see what you're seeing. That's suspenseful. Live selling, I'm not sure how much of a dynamic it will be included with.
To be seen. So if anyone wants to have some Rayban glasses, Meta Rayban glasses, and wants to do a live show with us, we'll do it for free, just for fun, to see how it is, and if it's performing or anything. So please join us, and we'll love to do that. So speaking of fun thing, most fun thing, numbers and all that. I don't know if you saw the latest report, Matt, about return, and I mean it's not fresh news, right? We're talking about the 2023 report, but I thought the numbers were so impactful that we should aim to talk about this, especially that, a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about everything being crunched in terms of margin for e-com operator right now. And basically, the news is that over 743 billion of product were returned last year. 743 billion. That's a pretty big number. And if you think about it, it's 18 SKUs out of 100 that get returned. It represents 14.5% of total sales. So we're talking about margin being crushed. This is a pretty big number. And so what do you do with that merchandise, right? Some will directly go to trash because you can't reuse it. Some is still in good condition and will go to the shelf again. And some will need to go to secondary market where you will have steep loss on the product, and some are really sold at really, really heavily discounted. And so that's a pretty big numbers. So what can we do about this? I'm curious to hear your thought on that, Matt. I'm sure you have plenty of ideas.
Yeah, Nicholas, I trained a new client this morning, first thing this morning, and I was explaining what we call the girlfriend-to-girlfriend sales experience. And you and I have talked about that, how QVC, HSN, and I think all live streaming, live selling should relate one-on-one dynamics. And the one-on-one dynamic that I explained to this new client was you have to educate. Education is the best advocate in live streaming. It's the best skill or point of view of live stream selling. If you're able to educate in a live stream, then you reduce customer remorse, you reduce customer returns, and that customer is truly an educated consumer buying your product. So for a couple of things, I saw this headline too, and detailed product demos. So demonstrating the product through video is obviously key. Showing the consumer how it works. Size and fit guidelines, if you're into fashion or jewelry or things like that, showing a bracelet on your wrist or showing a blouse on different size women to show how it fits, how long the sleeves are, and how it fits the body. How-to videos. We talk, you and I and your team at Extremely talks a lot about how-to videos, showing the consumer how the product works. Either, one of the biggest successful video stories is the unboxing of the product. So people unbox on video and show how they open the product up, literally ripping the tape off, pull it out of the box, showing all this, ancillary things, and then how the product physically works. How-to videos are key in keeping those return rates down. And then things we talked about last week, consumer testimonials and reviews, getting the customers to interact with you and tell them their feedback, tell you their feedback on the product. So then that vendor, that product creator can learn from the consumer's experience. So, we were in this space, obviously, we're in this video consumer space, but that large $743 billion of returns this last year. I don't know why any e-commerce business doesn't use video as an aspect to what they do.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And I think, if you think about the return and why people return, it's like, because I still have a question that is unanswered about the product. And so I may just buy it. And then if it doesn't fit, or if that's not something that I actually think it's good for me, I will return it. But if you can make that decision prior, then always you can enable the user to make the decision prior. Then you will facilitate the purchase. Now, there's a counter argument to this whole story with video, right? Because the reason why video commerce is also so successful is not only you can educate the customer, but also you can really shorten the time from the moment the product is discovered to the time where it purchased, because you almost have this ability to make that impulsion buy, right? And so in a way, we're saying, oh, use leverage video. It's going to be good for your and reduce your return rate. At the same time, we're saying, oh, use the video. You're going to reduce your marketing cycle, and the impulse buy will be higher. What's interesting, what we have seen, at least talking with users and everything on this impulse buy, because they go through video, they are able to make an assessment of the quality of the product, if it fits for them and everything, faster, and especially during live stream. And so even though they have an impulse buy, the return rate's still lower. And I think as an industry-wise numbers, I think people are called to say that when a user go through a streaming cohort, they typically have a 40% lower return. I personally haven't been able to confirm those numbers from an extremely perspective. We have had conversation with our client and trying to estimate that. It's not quite easy to always estimate, but there's a lot of data out there and a lot of people that are according to say that it's around that number. So I will say that it must be somewhat true, but I just found it fascinating overall, this dynamic.
Well, we talked earlier about Amazon, and Amazon, one of Amazon's business models, it's probably an unofficial business model. Sometimes they don't even ask the customer to return the product, because the processing and handling of bringing that product back into the Amazon DC is too costly for Amazon to deal with it. So then the customer just gets the product for free. That can't help the bottom line. It's a product sitting on a white screen, and that is the only interaction the consumer has. It's just outdated. It's just outdated. Video, I just think video needs to be implemented in all e-com. And you don't need to jump in both feet. You don't need to go full throttle with hour-long programming. Put it on the product detail page. Having a how-to video on that product detail page doesn't seem very tough or dramatic or hard, but you're going to make an impact on your business right away.
Absolutely. Love that. Well, why don't we close the show here? For the listeners, if you are here, well, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for Dan for your support on and with following us through the months on the show. Feel free to like and comment and tag us, share with your friend. We love to be continuing doing that. I have a special shout out on Tuesday on the Live E-commerce podcast, so the show that you can have on your Apple Podcasts or your Spotify. Matt and I have interviewed a really amazing guest. I think you're going to love her. Last time I put a teaser on. She's the head of e-commerce for the largest e-com company in India. I'm not going to say more. And it's just a really, really, really interesting and fascinating conversation. I can't wait to have it and have you listen to it. Well, thank you, Matt, for being here. Thank you, Halia, for being here. And I guess we will see each other again very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.